Yes, yes, yes. Here we are. I'm going to hold up for a moment while a few people join. I did send out a notification. I'm just going to be chilling until a few people pull up. Greetings. Hmm. Greetings. Greetings. Okay, hi. William, Roy, Nano, Hundreds. Beautiful. Technical Dior. Greetings. Bella Rain. Hi. Kirsten Jackson. Oh, we got the same last name. Nora. Hi. JG. What's going on? Hold up. Some of y'all commenting like y'all. Somebody want to join? Oh, goodness. I would like to. Is it pertaining to the topic? Love after trauma? Greetings. I don't want to let somebody join and then it mess up the consciousness, the energy that I'm about to share right now. So if you're not on the topic, it's going to dilute what I want to talk about. So greetings, everybody. I am Campson, and I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I felt I'm on fire right now with something that I want to get out of my heart. I want to talk about the loneliness and the misery that a lot of us are feeling right now and being unfulfilled in areas of our relationships, whether it's with your family or your partner, your other person, your friends, your coworkers. Like, we're all noticing right now that our relationships aren't healthy, and we're noticing areas right now where there's dysfunction that we accepted as normal. There are areas where we don't believe in ourselves anymore because we feel like we have so many issues and nobody else in my family found real love. Maybe it'll never happen. Like, we got a lot of beliefs and stuff that are affecting what we are creating and the energy that we're emitting on the planet. We emit energy based on what we believe. You are a whole motherfucking soul. You are energy in motion. So as you think, you're creating vibrations in the unseen spirit realm. As you're speaking, you're creating vibrations into that realm. We are very powerful, all of us here. And I could break down each culture and the genetics of each culture and some of the powerful, special things about each culture that we bring to this world right now. That would be based in the 5 root races, which is a gnosis, Gnostic conversation for another day, because that's more of the metaphysical side of this. But I want to get into love after trauma. It was on my mind so much. I don't know why I'm feeling like this, but I feel like a lot of people are missing connection. A lot of people are desiring deeper connection, more emotional connection. We're starting to, want to feel loved. We're starting to want to be our authentic selves and not feel like we have to hide and change things to be accepted by people. Like, we're craving and yearning these deeper love connections. And that's great that we're doing that, because the pandemic, the lockdowns, all of that happened. It helped us to see that we really need to invest some attention into love, into self-love, into self-care, into mental health. This is National Mental Health Awareness Month. Like, we're learning, we're discovering like what narcissism is and the effects of that. We're discovering that some of the stuff we went through when we was children, we didn't get over it. We didn't heal it because it's now coming up in our relationships. So a lot of different levels of awareness is happening right now on the planet, but ultimately we're being called to go deeper in our ability to love, which requires us to set aside the things that we fear, such as intimacy, vulnerability. And this is a kind of trippy time to be in, because for the first time in history, since the patriarchy began and the matrilineal way that we rule the world, since it's switched, right? We about 6,000 years or so have been on the programming of the Bible. The very first woman in the Bible, I mean, she was a fuck up, Eve. Eve just was fucking up everything. They went from being naked and enjoying it to looking for fig leaves to try to hide. Like who's Adam? He didn't do anything wrong. It was simply Eve. It was this woman that you gave me that got me in this trouble. And so now that we're learning about gaslighting, which is when someone denies what you're expressing, that you see visually or are experiencing, and they basically gaslight. We do it unconsciously. Oftentimes we don't know, but when you're in denial or becoming defensive or passive aggressive, what you're doing is you're trying to push somebody away from you energetically, and it's unconscious, and this is rooted in this fear. So just to take you back for a moment, I would love to be able to go through the ages with you on this, and I'm probably going to do a separate build about this. But I would like to go back to that initial story. So as a woman, I was already programmed to believe that there was nothing good about me, and that if I can't trust the first woman in which we descended, then what does that say about me? It says that I'm cursed. And what does that make me feel? How do I feel when God says that I'm cursed and Adam says that it was all my fault? Because now I have God, the deity, supposed to be the creator of all things seen and unseen. And then I also have a man on the other side of me. I feel like I'm hanging on the cross as a woman, because I have these two powerful, because I'm at the bottom of the hierarchy. I'm the weaker vessel, right? According to what many of us grew up hearing, believing. Even if you don't believe it anymore, you're still affected by it, even generationally. It affects us. Epigenetics. Trauma changes the expression of our DNA. And our DNA creates the behavior and thoughts. A lot of things is based in the DNA. And even though the DNA is changing and being activated, and that's another conversation for another time, but we're going through these awakenings and we're transforming and changing. And as we are being healed like this, then you want to pay attention to some of the things that we were taught, like on a mass level, and for how many generations, and how much blood was shed to make this teaching become a belief that most people on the planet accepted without being able to properly investigate it. We have access to all knowledge now, so we can investigate these things. And so our beliefs are changing from what our mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers believe. We're changing because we have more access to more information. And so what happens with me saying what I'm saying is that the woman first memory on the planet is of fucking something up. Eve is just like, I'm cursed. That's a heavy weight for God to put on a woman who's the weaker vessel, for simply venturing out and finding fruit and sharing it with Adam. And Adam didn't have to take any accountability in this situation. All he had to do was blame it on the woman, and God was like, all right, you go work hard, or you go sweat, but okay, she go get the most. I'm going to give her the most time. And so when you think about how many women are willing to do time, like really in jail, in prison for their men, that programming, it has been here for a very long time. That is not new. That is an ancient trauma. That is a teaching that taught us to not trust one another before we were old enough to begin developing. Brain development, you don't become an adult on a neurological level and in the conversation context about brain development until you're about 25 years old. So a lot of us had this information coming in before we could question things to see, is this who my authentic self believes to be true? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing in life? Or are there some things maybe that I'm supposed to discover within myself, and my spiritual path may be different than my my ancestors or my relatives that's close to me, So as this is happening, when you think about that, like, that's narcissism right there, because she was forced to take most of the accountability. And that's traumatic. That's hurtful. And Adam, he didn't even take up for her. She was trying to share something with him. Obviously, she's sharing it because she feels it's something valuable that she's discovered, and she's punished for that, right? So that teaching, that archetypal energy, it affects us in the subconscious mind, and we are becoming aware of some of the beliefs that we inherited by being born wherever we were born, into whatever family we were born into. Many of us are just now venturing out to see what resonates with me, right? So as we're going through this massive shift from the 3D matrix to fourth dimensional, 5-dimensional, on a level of consciousness, if you look at a frequency map of consciousness, you can see the hertz of each consciousness. And so the hertz is becoming higher and higher and higher. And what's happening is the frequency is causing us to become more self-aware of things that have been repressed into the shadow aspect of our mind because it probably had trauma attached to it. And for a child to survive, the child is going to create its ego consciousness to help ease the pain of whatever the child is experiencing. And so we all have some form of traumatic conditioning that affected us on a mental and emotional, physical level. And in order for us to be generational curse breakers, to be the people who we feel we're chosen to find the meaning in life, to discover the purpose in pain, to discover what it really means to love yourself in authenticity and no longer having to hide any aspect of you and live a life that is in harmony. Life might not be perfect, but everything is in harmony. Everything is just as it should be. Because you're emitting energy of love from this higher state of consciousness, from discovering these things about yourself, becoming self-aware. We once had the eyes of pigeons, and now we have the eyes of eagles. If we look at it in context of animals, this is what's happening to us. So as this is happening, a lot of people are questioning everything about their life, including their present relationships, and wondering what the connection is to whatever it is you're going through. Right now, you could be noticing that you get depressed. You could be noticing that you have a tendency to become anxious, right? You could be noticing that you have fear centered around taking risks, taking strategies and steps to change careers, or just change the way that you look, or change your lifestyle, or be a better parent, be a more conscious parent or grandparent. We're desiring to graduate from the level that we've been on collectively for a very long time. And again, I'm speaking about the programming of fear, which is a mental virus, and it's an ancient pathogen, and it causes us to disconnect from source, to disconnect from the true vibrational field of love, which is why we beat up on ourselves, we make mistakes, and we just don't even try again because we just give up. Sometimes it's so hard to be resilient. It's hard to get knocked down and get up again, and you might be looking at the climb getting up and you're like, I just can't do it no more. I'm just going to stay right here in this low place. And while we're in that low place, that's when we are really getting to know ourselves. Even though the intention is to bring relief, you want it to be self-aware. You want it to know what's happening inside of me, what's happening in my bloodline, in my family, what's happening in my community where people are not able to show up as their authentic selves and love each other. Like, why is there less peace? Why does it seem like it's so much chaos and narcissism? And why are so many of us starting to discover we have characteristics of borderline personality disorder, or we're noticing symptoms that would be called complex PTSD? Like, oh my goodness, I'm coming across posts, stuff showing up on my feed. This is the universe giving you feedback from what your heart is desiring to know, which is the unknown parts of you. And as we are going deeper into the astrological energy predicted by the Mayan calendar that talked about the way the ancient karmic spells were going to start breaking down. And in order for that to happen, we must align our hearts and our minds and start making love-based decisions and not fear-based decisions, and start isolating what level of commitment am I going to give to my spiritual journey? Like, that's being proposed to us. We feel this. We feel that we're not really shining as bright as we can. We can feel where we hide. We feel where we feel inferior. We feel when we feel vulnerable. So Adam and Eve put the fig leaves over them because they felt vulnerable. This was the beginning within this mythological story, and there are many others that are similar, but it was that vulnerability that they felt where they were hiding from God. And what does God represent? God represents Source, the creator of all things, Most High. Whatever you call the energy of creation, of the seen and unseen, it's the same energy that brought forth life. And the blueprint of the creatrix of the energy that created our world, this Mama Earth that we live, a sentient being who we once just thought to be a blue, green, and brown rock in the air. And we just so happen to get dropped down here. You know, we're coming out of that and we're starting to reconnect with the truth about things. And with reconnection of truth, there is deeper feeling, deeper emotions. We're becoming more sensitive to energy because we're meant to master ourselves so that we can create energy from a space of love. And that's how you win the spiritual war, by coming from a space of love. There is no other way. The heart is the pathway to the divine. It is the access to divinity, to the unseen realm. The heart is how we get access. And so many of us have wounds that we have carried from childhood to present. We haven't had the time or the knowledge or the resources to work through it. And maybe we have been to therapists, or maybe we have tried different things to help us because we feel and we experience our mental, emotional imbalances every day with more awareness. So maybe you have tried some things, but sometimes it just seems like you're not doing enough. You take 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and see that space is not a space where losers are being held. That's a space where winners are. They're being prepared to be ready for the next phase. You ain't taking no L's. Once you awaken and you start attracting this kind of information, you are no longer taking L's. You are saying, no matter where I am in life, no matter what is happening, I'm going to practice showing up as love. Bottom line, point blank, period, whatever it takes. If I got to start creating some boundaries, I didn't know that was a thing, but I'm going to start letting people know I don't want you popping up at my house without reaching out to me. I don't want you calling my phone after a certain hour because I need my rest. Because you care about me, I'm reaching out and letting you know, and we'll catch up tomorrow. Boundaries. We're starting to have boundaries with the way people talk to us. Like, you know what? If you're talking to me in a way that feels threatening to me or hurtful to me, this isn't a vibration that I choose to exist in. So I'm going to remove myself. And once we're both in a better place, we can talk about this and work this out later. That's creating the boundary. You're creating the boundary in your own mind. Like, you know what? I'm going to stop talking shit to myself. I'm going to stop putting myself down. I notice I'm doing this throughout the day. Like, you know what? Let me put a boundary up there. Let me put you in a little, compartment and lock the door. And like, look, we ain't going to do this now. Right? We're learning how to tune in to the radio station within our mind that is aligned with the heart. We're learning how to tune. Spirit has infinite radio stations. All of them are still divine, because we're all going to eventually evolve in this thing called life. journeying as souls through different experiences and lifetimes. We're all moving in that direction, but at different rates and taking different paths. And it's beautiful to see that. And so at the end of all of what you've been through in the trauma, you're coming back to being able to discover yourself so that you can love the parts of you that everybody in your life probably made you feel like was a piece of shit. And you internalize that feeling of inferiority. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not making enough money. Like, you just feel like a disappointment. You feel disappointed in yourself, and you begin to feel inadequate so more than you do feel adequate. And so you start questioning whether or not you should go for certain dreams and goals and making certain changes in your life. You're starting to question, should you make the investment? Should I start compromising my schedule so that I can spend more time in meditation and prayer? Maybe I need to schedule that and make that a priority so that I can show up for myself with more love. I want to figure out how to love myself unconditionally. So going back to the story that we are healing, coming out of that, loving ourselves unconditionally is calling for us to drop the fear. And when it's fear, because you're going to, in that moment, feel suspicious of people. You're going to catastrophize about things happening in your life. You are going to overthink certain conversations and think that the conversation ended in somebody being pissed off at you when they probably was just having a rough day, right? We start to feel as if we need to overcompensate to try to get the love that we want because we don't trust the power of our heart to attract the love that we want. So I'm going to overcompensate. I'm going to say yes when I really want to say no. I'm going to tell half-truths to keep the peace. But I don't want to be confronted for not being honest, though. So I'm doing this to avoid conflict, even though I know as time goes on, me not being fully honest can become a problem. I'm still going to do it because it's helping me in this now moment, right? To feel comfortable and regulated, because I haven't learned to trust my heart. That's what is being healed. That's the invitation we're being given. And as this continues, with also us feeling the impact of losing so many people that we care about to deaths, watching people get sick and not be able to go back to work, the food shortages, formula shortages for babies. A lot of states are passing laws that women don't have the right to have abortions anymore. So she is being told what to do with her body by government. So this is like, it's so many things happening at one time. That's the breakdown of a system that was set up to feed off of our trauma. Because healing our traumas means we're going to have more fulfilling relationships, which means we're going to be able to invest more beauty into the world as a result of establishing healthy, loving, authentic relationships. They are very aware. When I say they, I mean the people that are the powers who own most of communication and whatever beliefs collectively are being projected into the planet, whether it's via news, or magazines, commercials. Like, there is information constantly being put in front of us and streamed in front of us to influence our beliefs using subconscious predictive programming. Like that's happening, right? I know I'm not the only one that remember the Little Mermaid DVD had a dildo on the front of it in the place of the castle. If I am the only one, go look it up and you will see what Captain the Oracle is revealing to you right now. And you will see why it's so important for us to be more aware so that we are not being programmed with the fear that is being collected from all of the desperation, the despair, the terrible things we have had to bear. See, trauma happens in varying degrees, but it all counts and it all matters. Trauma affects our genetic expression. The DNA actually rearranges when certain traumas occur. This has been scientifically proven way after metaphysics and ancient indigenous teachings proved and discussed this. Um, but a lot of those texts was hid from us. Just, so much stuff has happened to try to put this information under wraps. But just imagine how much better you can give love to others once you figure out what it takes to give that love to yourself. Once you figure out what it takes to silence that inner critic that you hear always telling you that you're not going to succeed. Having the tools to deal with that, it allows us to love deeper, to love more passionately. So many of us as women don't feel fulfilled on an emotional level in our relationships because a lot of the male counterparts have spent their whole life suppressing their emotions to be perceived as safe in the world. Especially if you happen to be a black or brown man and people that look like you are in mugshots and on the news and most wanted all the time. You are the villain in all the movies. Like, when you go to other countries, if you come from the United States, people have a idea of how you are based on movies and music and all of this media information is coming in. So it's creating a frequency that's based in fear. And so for men, I get it. It's difficult because we're saying be vulnerable, open up, express yourself. But y'all I really don't quite know how to do that effectively or skillfully. The last time I did that, it led to something negative happening. It led to a divorce. It led to a breakup. It led to me getting cheated on or getting cheated on by somebody else. It led, whatever it is, that's embedded within men. So hiding aggression for a black man, that's how he knew to stay safe. So when a woman desires for a black man to be able to connect with his inner aggression, his inner beast, this is his dark shadow side, in a way where he is not causing any victimization to his counterpart, that is true yin-yang balanced energy. Right? He's aware of his dark side and he knows how to navigate it. But if you were raised to believe as a man, when you was a boy, that getting angry is unacceptable, well, you repressed it to keep from getting in trouble. And now, for some reason, we thought that emotions were not liquid. And liquid holds memory. We somehow in the 3D matrix just had no idea that all of those times we pushed down an emotion, it was stored somewhere within our being. We didn't know that we had vortexes of energy called chakras, which are these wheels of spinning energy emitting from certain areas of the body based on the vibrations we are choosing to think the most. Wherever your attention goes, that's where your energy flows. So if you are listening to the heart more often, then you're on the front line of the spiritual warfare, which is to retain our ability to see our humanity, but actually be led by our divinity. That's a space of integrity, and it takes work, and it is worth it. That is a space of I'm learning myself. I'm no longer judging anything, and I'm offering love when anything comes up that feels less than to me. I have the power to respond in a way that will create what it is that I desire. So it takes work, and men, continue to work on yourselves, being able to connect with your emotional self and express it in a healthy way. Continue to learn and read books about emotional intelligence. David Data, Deida, The Way of Superior Man, is a great place to start. G.S. Youngblood, I love everything that he does. Another great place to start. John Winland, Wineland. That is also a great place to start. Ladies, if you want to learn to understand a man and the impact of trauma in this world, then you check out these books as well. But for you, I would recommend what really, really helped me to release a lot of the judgments that I had towards my trauma and how it shows up as symptoms today. Like when I used to drink a lot, I used to beat myself up. But if I would have known that all of that trauma is what was causing me to try to numb myself, then that awareness would allow me to make different choices. You know? So I would recommend reading those, and I would also recommend reading the book 13 Moons. It is the 13 Moons. Hold on, what's the name of this book? It is no, that's the other book. I got a whole list. The Bobby Hemmett book list, I've been adding to it. No, it is called The Mysteries of the Dark Moon. Okay? Mysteries of the Dark Moon by Peter Moon, if I'm not, by Peter, yeah, I think it's Peter Moon, Mysteries of the Dark Moon. If you cannot find it, I will personally go and add this to our website as soon as I am done with this live, and I will give you access so that you can start reading. Okay? This is available on any tier. For any donation that you give, even if it's just $1, you're going to get the full access to this so that you can start working on these things. So I'm going to do that. If anybody's interested, can you let me know in the chat real quick? Be like, yeah, I would love to cop that. Because I think that book would be beneficial for men to understand what the feminine has went through across the span of time. Right? And the way different archetypes and traumas that women have experienced, certain goddesses and deities, where you can read their stories and see that we truly are the goddesses and the gods having this human experience. You see the similarities. To know that, and to also know the truth about the essence of the true creator of everything, seen and unseen, to know that essence is feminine, and to learn the reasons why, allows you to make decisions from a space of having more information, from having an alternative perspective to what a lot of us were programmed to believe, which was women cannot be trusted, starting with Eve, and we can go all the way through. These hoes ain't loyal. Chris Brown did not write that and make that up. That the Bible already had that. The Bible been teaching that. These hoes ain't loyal. And I can go through many stories where women were treated and accused of doing something wrong. That's painful. It don't matter if it really happened or not. What matters is that those teachings, relationships, marriages, and children were created under those teachings. So it is important for us to do our best to study ourselves and learn as much as we possibly can to make informed decisions that is not being broadcast to you from beliefs that you simply inherited from the people that raised you or the people you grew up with. We're all on our own journey in our own time. So I would recommend those books for y'all. And I'm gonna get off here now because I got so much stuff I could really keep going, but I'm gonna share just a little bit more and say this for men who are with women that may not be as sexual as they were in the beginning. It's probably not for any reason that you're thinking. Those of us that have wombs on this planet who are being called to be spiritual healers, we're experiencing something inside of ourselves that we really can't even put to words. And that requires us to spend more time in solitude, more time with ourselves, meditating, more times doing self-care, putting ourselves first, which means we're saying no more often. We no longer feel the pressure to have sex, even though our body is saying no. We used to feel pressure to have sex and we would do it anyway because we were taught you must keep a man. If you don't give him sex, he's going to go and find it somewhere else. That embedded itself in our consciousness. Epigenetics is proof that genetics can be mutated based on certain traumatic beliefs and experiences. So we're dealing with that, and we're also dealing with the collective trauma the feminine has endured by being raped, molested, sexually abused, used even by her own self, not quite knowing how to respect her body because she was never taught the power of saying no. She wasn't supported. Maybe she didn't grow up with proper protection or a daddy in her life who knew how to be the divine masculine to her. Like, that's coming up for us. So be patient with us the way a lot of us have been patient with y'all as far as emotional maturity. Y'all may be stronger than us physically, and this is not a blanket statement. Of course, there are, exceptions to the rule. But if we're being called to clear that, and you're being called to heal this collective trauma within the masculine, well, both of us must be in a self-aware space so that if we do come together in intimacy, it's creating more love. Because if the woman is only being intimate to try to keep her man, she isn't doing it out of love. She's doing it out of fear of losing her man. And when this happens, this energy moves through us. The life is in the blood. We release blood every 28 days. That is a sacrifice. And it can be uncomfortable for many of us. We have gone through a lot. The most beneficial thing you could be doing for any woman in your life is practicing having that level of compassion where you can be patient with her. If you do not take heed to this, I am telling you, the energy of the goddess is going to teach you, okay, by how your whole life treats you. So consider this. This is true healing, to heal the divine feminine aspect. I'm almost done.
Can I go first to pick up PJ?
No. It's a little late. Tell him maybe tomorrow. Not only that, but for the men, y'all didn't even know that y'all had certain emotional wounds until recently. You're discovering it. And the woman in your life, if you have a woman in your life, she's probably calling a lot of stuff to your attention that you're not noticing. And that also can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary because most men were not given a rites of passage to become a man. They were born with the genetic makeup of a male, but there were no rites of initiation for most men to become an actual man, a divine man. It's a difference. And that younger, immature boy consciousness, that energy, is simply there because they have not been allowed the freedom to be in their emotions. So they've been living outside of their body. They've been living inside of their head, attempting to repress any emotion come up, not show emotion at all, be tough, and after doing that for so long, subconsciously you believe that that is the way to survive this world and be safe. So you're going to live feeling as if there is always a threat or a problem or something wrong, and it feels personal. It's like it must be just something wrong with me. I keep attracting all this negative shit. It's a victimhood consciousness where you almost feel like you don't have power to change it. And this is fear. It's fear of inadequacy. And we all have this, but men have not had the opportunity to master the emotional regulations in a way to allow them to navigate these situations with their heart, like just showing up as love, no pride, none of that, just showing up as love, like that right there, the divine masculine. You're all heart. But if you've been living outside of your body and living up here, then the body, it's just been running on an automatic program based on your childhood trauma. So no matter what you do and no matter who you get in a relationship with, you're going to have the same experiences over and over again until you realize that you are the common denominator, which means you have the power to change it. But as long as we are so uncomfortable with being honest, we will live in denial, and we're pushing away our own power when we do that. And sometimes survival is not owning up to stuff and not accepting it. You don't want to be aware of it. You don't want to acknowledge it because you don't want to have to deal with it. When you feel overwhelmed by life, there are going to be some things that you're going to feel like that about. But this is not the time for us to ignore that. This is the time for us to delve deeper and be willing to leave a legacy here for those that come after us of transcending trauma. This is love after trauma, baby. So I want to extend to you, if any of this information is speaking to you, I created a program where I've been going through this and I collect information from all of my clients, and whatever it is that they collectively need, I put into a course. And that course is the Inner Child Healing course. That course will allow you to have simple, short ways you can access your subconscious mind and see what programs are you holding in there and replace them with positive programs, affirmations, instead of having that constant negative rumination that can be controlled. You absolutely have the ability to reprogram your mind to not interfere that way. But it must begin with being willing to see yourself as the possible, as possibly being one of the toxic aspects of your dysfunctional relationship experiences. Accepting that, like, oh my goodness, it's so liberating. And you will feel adequate. It's not the money. It's not the things. Those things are nice. But feeling adequate, feeling as if you are an asset to the whole existence of the world. Like I'm chosen to be here. Like knowing that you are truly divine, you are important. You have power that has been hidden away from you. And you are being shown ways to access that power. You can change your life. You can change the fate. You can change the trajectory of your life at any time that you want to with these tools. This is what we're being offered. So I want to invite you over and check that out. And I am telling you, doing that work, within 7 days, you are already beginning to see the things that were blessings in your life that felt like problems. Some people said within 3. I'm actually going to have some of the students give a testimonial about some more experiences. That's all on the website. You can read all of that and check that out. It's just $9. Because I want to leave an investment on this planet where I know I left it better than what it was when I came. And as a highly sensitive person who is empathic, I experience things so much deeper than other people, and I absorb trauma. I absorb people's pain. As a child, I was parentified. I felt like I needed to take care of my household. I needed to work. I needed to make money and to provide. I needed to be able to pay on bills. Like I grew up really fast. I missed out on a lot of my childhood. And knowing this, making the decision to go no contact with my biological family because I believe so much in the power of love, I was finally willing to give it to myself and not worry about what anybody else thinks about it, because that is not my business. It is their right to think whatever they want to think about me. And it is my right to walk my path and live my truth. So my courses are created so that you are able to transcend whatever your particular trauma may be in such a mystical, beautiful, spiritual, you're not going to even be able to guess what's going to happen next in the course. I want it to be exciting because life is so busy. Time is moving so fast. We feel like it's not enough hours in a day. So I'm like, if people bored out of their mind, like, nah, so I'm like, we got to make this fun. We got to put some fun in here. You can't be doing this deep shadow work into the things that you have not wanted to see about yourself, right? Because it hurted. You can't go into that without some humor, right? So it has just such a beautiful balanced way of me being able to basically like hit you up every day and lead you through your day. And it is my honor to be able to do this because when I died in 2005 and when I died in 2009, both times the experience was completely different. And what I was shown about the human race and our ability to love and to heal, that made me fight for my life because I was ready to give up. And I felt so inspired by the people that I would be able to touch, the people who maybe felt like outcasts, and I would be able to show them the treasures inside of them just as they are without changing anything. Like that helped me so much to commit to this path and this journey and to be able to show up vulnerable with the world, to be a representation of freedom, liberation, being able to live from the heart. So in 2006, I quit my job. Forget it. I don't care that I have a chronic illness and I have been told I can't do this, can't do that, and we don't live long. I'm going to invest as much love in this world as I possibly fucking can. And that journey that brought me here, that drive, that passion, no matter what I'm going through, it don't never go away. That's what a purpose-driven life feels like. And you want to wake up the next day because you're doing that thing that you was called to do, that nobody could do it like you but you. That's such a great feeling. And that feeling is available to all of us without changing anything that's in your reality right now. Just by changing the way you think, the way you react to situations, and the things that you allow or do not allow. So let's get it. Phoenix rising from the ashes. Yes, we are. So thank y'all for joining me. I'm probably going to repost this on YouTube, but for those of you watching now, like check out newverselive.com. It's so popping over there, like spiritual healing. If Marvin Gaye could do the remix and be like spiritual healing, spiritual, that's the fucking theme song. Blood, sweat, and tears, pure heart, and it's attracting people who are also desiring to be within the journey of spiritual healing. It's so beautiful. And that sacred space is yours once you join to do whatever you like. Just follow the few basic rules, which is to be respectful. But you can come there and be your authentic self, share your dreams, some of the symbols that you're noticing are synchronicities, and people, ain't nobody go think you're crazy, and people are into it too, so they'll be able to tell you something to build on top of what you're sharing. We're building together, right? The new earth, writing new verses for the life we call a cipher, the cipher we call a life. This is a song. Your soul is here to create harmonic frequencies. Without a doubt. That's why you watching this now. So I just want to remind you, you are fucking incredible just as you are. Yes, we got some stuff to work on. No, you do not have to give up. And yes, you already have success because we ain't taking no L's. We spiritually here and awakening so that we can win. That's all we do. All we do. Even when it seems like we failing. And I want to show you how to access this and recreate your life. So head over to newverselive.com. I'm going to complete my meditation for tonight, and I shall see you all tomorrow on YouTube. Peace. Numi say, Ashe.